Penguin Random House Audio presents The Good Hand, Work, Brotherhood, and Transformation in an American Boomtown. This is the author, Michael Patrick F. Smith. For my brothers and sisters, Ryan, Matthew, Megan, Kate, and Shannon. The world is charged with the grandeur of God. It will flame out like shining from shook foil. It gathers to a greatness, like the ooze of oil, crushed. Why do men then now not wreck his rod? Generations have trod, and all is seared with trade, bleared, smeared with toil, and wears man's smudge and shares man's smell. The soil is bare now, nor can foot feel being shod. Gerard Manley Hopkins. Raising the derrick. Like most people who rely on oil for nearly every aspect of their existence, I didn't know anything about a drilling rig. I pulled off my hard hat, wiped my forehead with my forearm, and looked across the work location, trying to take it all in. On a mud-colored scar in the land, cut flat, 200 yards across, trucks coughed diesel, cranes farted smoke, and dust turned to mud on the faces of men toiling under bright sunlight. The rig was half in pieces. Giant square chunks of steel littered across the dirt. I had no idea how it went back together. I adjusted the inside strap of my hard hat. What did the roughneck call it? A brain bucket? And set it back on my head. It was my 5th day in the oil patch. I had yet to make a hand. I didn't even know what it meant to make a hand. And I had no idea how vital that idea would become to me. I was a greenhorn, what most oil patch guys call a worm. A headless, legless, brainless thing, good for eating dirt and shutting the fuck up. I had just left the shitbox. The plumbing wasn't functional yet, so the bathroom consisted of a trailer with a bare light bulb, a toilet, and a mess of flies. It was 99 degrees outside the trailer, and probably 120 degrees inside the shitbox. Standing 20 feet away from it, I could smell the stink carried on the breeze. In 5 days of work, I'd clocked over 70 hours of heavy manual labor. My neck and shoulders were stiff, my arms, legs, knees, and ankles battered and sore. My hands ached, and my head felt foggy from lack of sleep. Over the past several weeks, I'd been crashing on a filthy flophouse floor, in a room I shared with several other migrant workers. The stress of the oil field work, combined with the stress of this living situation, aggravated a twitch under my left eye. It felt like my face was shorting out. That morning, I'd made the mistake of thinking about giving up. The thought had wormed its way into my brain, and now I couldn't seem to shake it. I was bone-tired, afraid, and nauseous. There were many ways to get hurt on location, or die. Exhausted men operated heavy machinery. Trucks thundered past. Heavy objects flew through the air, steel swinging steel around on cables, hooks, and slings. You could go blind. You could lose your hearing. You could lose a limb. A rod could snap and bam, instant lobotomy. 138 oil field hands had been killed in the United States the previous year. I looked around. I could see it happening to me. My breathing sped up, and my stomach knotted. I tried to take slow, steady breaths. Dragonflies buzzed around. I walked through a row of pickup trucks, across the dirt patch, and toward a pile of wind walls. Thin metal sheets some 15 feet across. A wind wall does exactly what it sounds like it should do. On the high plains, with no trees or mountains to stop it, the wind is fierce. Even in the summer, gusts of northern air can all but knock you down. The walls protect against that. They make it easier for men to work the floor of the drilling rig, 2 to 3 stories above the dirt. I was 20 yards from the crane and maybe 30 yards from the base of the rig. I squinted up into the sun. A wind wall, attached to the crane by 4 metal chains on the crane's whip line, dangled in the air above the rig's floor. A crew of roughnecks, strapped into harnesses and wearing heavy work boots, guided the wall down, set it carefully in place, and, after lumbering along the edge of the floor, swung their sledgehammers at large metal pins to attach it to the rig. When the wall was connected, the crane operator reeled in the whip line. It swung in an arc above the men, away from them and toward me. With the precision of a bullet hitting a bullseye, the chains came to a sharp stop directly in front of me, the hooks suspended at the level of my chest. I gathered them into my hands, sliding the fasteners into eye hooks welded into the corners of the next wall, and then I looked back to the operator. He sat in the cab, blue Oakley sunglasses and beard slapped across an inscrutable expression. I waved a hand and he gave me a nod. I stepped away from the pile, and another wind wall flew up into the blue. At lunchtime, I sat in the back of the work van and ate cold, chunky soup out of the can. Bobby Lee sat with the driver's seat kicked way back, his boots up on the dash. He wore a Resistol brand diamond horseshoe cowboy hat pulled low over his eyes. At one point, the hat had been the color of pearl, but it was beat to shit, dirty, greasy, and floppy, incongruent with his studied look. "Now you know why gas is so expensive," Bobby Lee said. I stared out the window of the van. The work site was cluttered with tractor-trailers, pickup trucks, forklifts, a hydraulic crane, a lattice boom crane, rows of stacked piping, giant metal structures, and crews of men. No one was even drilling for oil yet. Everything I saw out the window, the trucks, the cranes, the men, was there because a previous well had been drilled to completion. And so we had shown up, Diamondback Trucking, to take the rig, the mechanism that extracts oil from the well, apart, and load it onto haul trucks to bring it here, to a new location, where it was being reassembled over a new drill hole. The previous day, Bobby Lee had handed me a sheet of paper to sign. In the mornings, we had safety meetings. We stood around with the roughnecks, somebody talked over the day's plans, and we all signed a paper. I had never read the paper, but when Bobby handed me this page, I thought it looked like all the others. "Didn't I sign this already?" I asked him. "It's a new one," Bobby said. "Okay," I said, putting my name across it. "And when I hand you something," Bobby continued quietly, "don't ask any questions. Just fucking sign it. And smile." He watched me silently until I faked a smile. "And like it," he told me. Then he breezed away. Bobby Lee was like that. When a roughneck rushed up to him hollering about a problem, he raised his hand slowly, palm down to eye level. "Do you see my hand?" Bobby asked. Yeah." "It's not shaking," he said. That same day, a crane operator asked Bobby if he should get started on something. "Did I tell you to start something?" Bobby spoke so quietly that he forced the crane operator to lean in. "No," the operator replied. "Do your job," said Bobby. He lit a cigarette, and then he walked off. The crane operator sat back in his seat and spit dip into an empty soda bottle. Bobby Lee looked like Don Johnson. He wore blue jeans, cowboy boots, and a western-cut blue denim shirt with a pack of USA Gold cigarettes in each breast pocket. He stood out because on location everybody else looked the same. Faces hidden behind shaded safety glasses, heads covered by hard hats. The men wore fire-resistant jumpsuits with metallic stripes down the sides. They smoked, chewed dip, or spit sunflower seeds. They wore the same goatees, mustaches, or beards, dirt on their faces and dust in their teeth. They sweat and they cursed, and when they saw my green hard hat, I was a literal greenhorn. They identified me as a dumb fuck. But I couldn't tell any of them apart. Throughout the day, they appeared in bright sunlight in front of me, shouted a few words, and then disappeared back into the dust. "I just started last week," a fellow greenhorn yelled at me over the din of a truck. "They don't tell you how to do anything. I don't know why. They'd save a lot of time if they told you." "Don't stand there. Hand me that hook," a truck driver hollered at me. I handed him the hook, and he turned his back to me completely. I stood there for some time, staring at his back. Then, unsure of myself, I walked off. One guy told me to watch out for the crane operator I was working with. "He'll hurt you," he said solemnly. "Can I throw this chain to you?" a dude asked. "Yeah," I said. "You ready?" "Yeah," I said. "You ain't ready," he said. and he threw the chain at me.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?